G'day, I'm Kate Grarrock. How are you? Today I'm pretty chuffed. I've taken the week off work. I've got 7 days of food in my pack and I'm off to explore the Budawangs. Going solo today, so you're my only company. It's winter, it's going to be pretty darn wet and cold. The weather's not looking terribly great, but you know, I'm prepared for it. I've got the winter warms. Yeah, I'm just so excited. If you want to check out what's in my pack, I'm going to do a video, so I'll link to that clip up above. Also food for 7 days. I've come in at about 630 grams a day, so that's just over 4 kilos of food weight, so I'll do another video and link to that above. We have had a ton of rain through this area and this river's pumping. It's sort of, I opted to wear my shoes because I know up ahead it's pretty swampy and I'm going to get wet feet anyway. Yeah, there's always a delicate balance between having dry feet and, you know, crossing safely. This is pumping pretty hard, and to be honest, it's probably about the limit of what you'd want to cross. It was just sort of up to my knees and really you could feel the pool there. So I went a little bit further upstream. It was slightly deeper, but there wasn't that intense rapid rush. Because of all the rain we've had, I'm going to get pretty wet, but I'm super excited to listen out for frogs. So frogs are amazing creatures. Every different species has a different call. And so I've got with me today a frog app called Frog ID. And you can basically record frogs. You can try and work out what they are. It helps you identify them. But I also want to send those recordings off to scientists and they can help look at what's there. And frogs are really good indicators for the health of an ecosystem. Obviously, we've just had those massive bushfires come through parts of Australia. And so I'm really interested to see what sort of frogs I hear out here. Just stumbled across a pair of lyrebirds. They're such incredible birds. Hopefully I'll get a good view of them later on. But they're such amazing creatures. Obviously they mimic other birds' calls. They can even mimic weird things like camera shutters or chainsaws in areas where there's been heaps of logging. The other cool thing that lyrebirds are meant to do, they're kind of like chickens and they'll scratch at the forest floor. And so they'll move about all the sort of forest litter and things like that. And that's meant to be really helpful in terms of breaking down the forest litter and then reducing the frequency and intensity of bushfires, which is obviously pretty exciting in the landscape we're currently walking through. So each of our little critters plays such an important role. Many of our current day paths follow old Aboriginal pathways, and this is evidence that this is an old Aboriginal pathway because there's grinding grooves up there on the creek bed. And it's just so amazing to see a history that's that ancient and be following in those footsteps. It's quite a special place and I'm feeling so happy to be out here. Oh. There's actually some history that there was a plan once to have a train line coming through this area, and I'm so glad they didn't go through with it. They wanted a train line from Canberra to Jervis Bay, where their defence territory was when they first established Canberra, and they were going to plan it to go through here, and it would have taken away from the beauty. Frogs are going nuts. I've come in about, let's say 7 or 8 k's on a fire trail, and now I've just ducked off the fire trail, so I'm pretty much all off track for the rest of today. The aim is to hit a massive cliff line sort of in front of me and poke along there and, you know, have a bit of a look. The Budawangs sort of well known for caves or overhangs, and I've always been interested to check out this little patch and see if there's much there. It's pretty windy, so if the weather stays a bit shitty and starts to rain, I might stay in the cave if I find one. The wind has sort of picked up a fair bit, and given that we've had some bushfires, certainly don't want to be camping under any big trees or logs and things like that, because certainly makes them a bit more susceptible to dropping limbs. So I want to be somewhere that's nice and open tonight if it's not in a cave. Pretty slow going, but I'm getting closer to the cliff line, if you can see it behind me there. Just got to be careful, there's all these little creeks, and yeah, they're quite eroded, and I certainly don't want to stumble down into a hole and get stuck there. Righto, I've made it to the cliff line. No caves so far. Starting to weigh up another option. I might keep going for just a little bit longer. Wowzers, that's a nice surprise. Pretty decent waterfall up here. I don't think this is something that would run all the time. I think it's just because we've had a heap of rain, but it's pretty nice. It'd be lovely if I could find a camping cave around here somewhere. Yeah, I'd be pretty happy to pull up for the night, but it's pretty rocky. I found a tiny cave back there. Found a little cave here. It looks pretty cool. And I've got the waterfall behind me here. I might have a poke around and see if it's suitable. Make sure I'm not going to trample any sort of endangered plants or anything. So it's only about 2:30, but when you find a spot this amazing, you just have to pull up. So I think I'm just going to have like a little shower, collect some water, and then go back over to my little camping cave. I'm just hiding in under the waterfall, collecting some water. Oh, that's one good thing about the wet feet. Just loads of waters around. Had a little rinse in my face and stuff like that. Filled up the water bladders. Now I'm going to sneak over to the cave. That wind's sort of picking up a bit, so I'm pretty happy that I'm tucked away in a cave here. show you what I've got going on here. This is the dirty water that I collected off the top. I mean, it's probably pretty good, but I always treat it, I'm flowing it through my Sawyer, sort of like a gravity works, into my bladder. Well, I've set up camp here and I've got a pretty sweet camping cave. I'm very, very happy about it. I've taken off my sort of wet clothes and hung them out to dry. I've put my thermals on, I've got my puff on, a little buff. I had my protein shake. I'm just about to have my Gatorade. But yeah, this is my little camp here. It looks like a bit of an animal trail, so hopefully we don't get too much activity in the night, probably just a wombat. That's why I've pitched my tent a little bit to the left here. But yeah, I'm pretty happy. Sort of got stuff spread everywhere, but how amazing is this cave? I'm pretty happy. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but the wind is kind of going nuts out there. So I'm pretty happy that I'm tucked in here, out of the way of the wind. Still looks sunny. It doesn't look like it's going to rain or anything yet, but fingers crossed tomorrow's a nice day. I'll take you through what I've got in my little tent here. So this is a 2-person tent, but it's one of those ones that you'd want to be sleeping with the person that you're sharing the tent. So when I'm hiking on my own, I just put my air mattress in the centre and then sort of can put equipment on the left and right. But yeah, I can share this. But she's not very big, but it's all I need. I really like, I've got a smaller tent, a more lightweight one that's just seriously just the size of your sleeping pad, but I actually love having that room on either side to put all my stuff. So, you know, I've got my shoes in there with me, I've got everything in there with me. Then you just don't have to worry about, I don't know, like a wild dog or something taking off with your shoes, or, you know, your food getting attacked by rats and things like that. So it's all tucked in there with you, nice and safe. Oh man, this cave is just so amazing. Ooh, man, she's pretty chilly tonight. So I've got my little dehydrated meal and I put it in some water to soak for about, I don't know, half an hour or something while I was mucking around in camp. So I've got that. Oh, shivers. So I've got that. It's my chili con carne and some fresh veggies. Yeah, so I'm just going to start up the cooker. I'm not going to have a campfire tonight. It's a pretty special cave and I don't really want to ash it / I'm pretty buggered, so I'm just going to go straight to bed tonight, I think. Have a good feed, get an early night. I think it's like 5 o'clock now. Sunset's about 5:30. Another reason I love my quilt is because you can really use it to sort of wrap yourself up nice and warm. It's freezing tonight. I'm in one of those moods where I'm pretty tired from hiking and I don't feel like eating, but I know I really need a warm meal in me to help me sleep well and get that energy and heat that I need to sleep soundly and safely. I learnt this the hard way once. I was pack rafting the Shoalhaven River and it was freezing cold and I was so tired at the end of each day I just didn't even, you know, I was snacking but I wasn't eating a big meal at the end of the day, and I'd wake up freezing, just shivering. It was horrible. Anyway, time to get dinner on. This is something new that I'm really getting into. They call them arse pads, or I don't know, I'm sure they've got a better name than that. But I use it for a whole range of things, obviously sitting on, but it's also a really good little workstation when I'm cooking and sort of want a clean spot that hasn't got dirt all over it. I've cooked up my chili con carne with my vegetables and I've made it pretty saucy, and I've actually added Deb on top of that, and then I sort of stir it up and it will all absorb and it'll be lovely and delicious and carby and protein. That's so much better. Food in the belly, I'm feeling warm, watching the sun set on that beautiful escarpment over there. I reckon I'm probably going to jump in bed pretty soon though. Life's pretty good. It's getting pretty dark now. But I just want to show you my little setup that I've got here. So I've got my cool little arse pad. That's also a good little doormat really, you know, for wiping off your socks and things like that. I'm finding my feet are feral because of all the ash and stuff. It's just really pretty filthy, so everything will have to come in the shower with me when I get home. Good morning. I've just got up, I've unpacked or packed up all my gear for today, had a good big breakfast and just sitting up here on this rock catching some sunshine. It was pretty darn cold last night, but I was nice and toasty in the tent, but geez, I got up to go to the loo in the middle of the night and woo, it was freezing. So yeah, it's so nice. That sun's just come over the ridge and still pretty windy today, but I don't know if it's because I'm halfway up this cliff or hopefully once I get down to the valley it might be a bit more calm. I was hoping to camp up on top of the rocks tonight, so I want to catch some of those stars. The stars were pretty good last night. So this morning I've got a few kilometres off track through this sort of stuff, so it's going to be pretty slow going. It's pretty steep, it's pretty grubby work, but then we should meet up with a fire trail after a couple of Ks, and then it should be pretty smooth sailing for the next 10 Ks. Then it might slow down a bit. I've been to that area before and there's lots of fallen trees, and I can only imagine with the fires there's a few more fallen trees and things like that. So this, I'm out on a creek line now and it's giving me really good sort of fast access to where I want to go. So that's really good, but with the fires that we've had and the crazy rain that we've had, I need to be really careful here because there are some significantly eroded banks and I don't want one to collapse under me and me to fall down and get injured in any way. There's also, obviously when you're near water, wombats love water, so there's a heap of wombat burrows, so I'm keeping my eyes out for them too because I certainly don't want to trip down one and sprain an ankle or something like that. So I think you can hear it, there's some amazing frog noise here. No, they've stopped. But the frog that sounds like marbles, like bing bong, bing bong. That's Crinia signifera, or common eastern froglet, and you'll hear that certainly in New South Wales on most sort of areas. It's kind of the most common one you hear. So obviously the Australian bush has different strategies to survive a bushfire, and these trees are pretty amazing here. You see on the ground heaps of this bark. And the trees basically use this as sort of a protective layer, and the bushfire comes through, the outer bark burns, you know, all of his canopies are burnt, but then it sheds this bark and starts to re-sprout from its epicormic growth. It's a pretty amazing strategy. Just amazing species of trees here. And just to point out, like this epicormic growth, these little buds that shoot from the trunk of the tree, obviously that's, you know, generated from fire, but I was at the Botanic Gardens in Canberra the other day and we had a massive hailstorm go through there earlier in the year, and the trees there have budded from epicormic growth from that sort of damage. So it's not just bushfires. Well, I made it back to the fire trail. That was pretty smooth going actually, following that creek creek line, just dodging a few wombat burrows and things. I'm really going to have to watch this wind. It's getting a little bit dangerous, I think, with all these burnt trees. I don't want them rocking around too much and dropping limbs on me. So I'm getting to that challenging point in every hike that I just really struggle with. This wind is just whipping through here. A couple of trees have fallen down. These are old ones behind me, but yeah, since we've had a burn, I'm pretty cautious about these trees that are they're just down everywhere. I have hiked this trail before, and I know and I definitely know that there were a lot of fallen trees, and I expected that, but the fact that I'm actually hearing some trees fall now is just giving me the willies, and oh, it kills me. My little heart, it's just breaking. You know, I've got the full pack of food, and I was here to explore for 6 days, but oh geez, I just think life's a bit too important for that. Obviously I checked the weather before I came. Didn't indicate there was going to be sort of gale force winds or anything like that coming through, but it's just really coming in gusts. The fact that we've had that fire come through, there's so many hollow logs sitting up there above my head. Whoosh. Oh man, I think I'm going to have to retreat to some area where there's less wind. God, it's beautiful here though. So it's about a 15k hike out if I do choose to hightail it. I've already done about 10 today, so it's going to be a big day. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit sad about that. Oh, I just don't want to end it here, but I'll try and get some reception and see if I can get some weather. So I've managed to get a snippet of reception here, and yeah, we've got gale force wind warnings, and I do not want to be here when the gale force winds hit. It's just too dangerous with these fire affected trees, and you can just see the fallen debris is everywhere, and I really don't want to be camping anywhere near something like that. So yeah, as much as it breaks my heart, I think it's just the sensible thing to do. I'm not very good at being sensible though, so I'd love to hear your stories about when you've had to call quits on a hike. I'm really not very good at it. It breaks my spirit. Something about maybe my pride or feeling like I've failed or something like that. But I guess, you know, at the end of the day, it's better to, you know, come back out here again and have another crack rather than, you know, have a misadventure, especially since I'm on my own. But yeah, I'd really love to hear your stories. I know another time I was hiking the castle. That's one thing about the Budawangs. I feel like every time it rejects me or turns me back from a certain hike, it just makes it all the more special. I think the first couple of times I went to climb the castle, we got turned back. It was just, once again, epic winds. Another time it was like just pissing down with rain, and it just, we just had to say, hang on, let's end this here. Oh man, I just heard the biggest crack. I think it's this guy. It's just come down. Ooh, yeah. As scary as it is, it also makes me realise I've made absolutely the right decision and get the heck out of here. I haven't had lunch yet because I'm keen to get out of these taller trees that are pretty charred and burnt. So I'm just going to power on for another hour, hopefully then get some food in, and I'll be a bit happier then. Just clicked over 26 Ks, got about 2 Ks back to the car, and I was feeling pretty tired. But then look what I found. Woo! It's a lyrebird feather. Oh my God. I've always wanted one of these. I've got this little like bouquet of feathers at home, and geez, that's just enough happiness and inspiration to get me all the way home. That is so cool. So we've all heard things about the Australian bush being really good at recovering after a bushfire, but there's a few extra elements to the environment to think about. It's not just about the vegetation. And so what we can see here is all the vegetation has gone from this ridge, and it's caused, when we've had some heavy rains, for it to all flood into this area. It's partly ash, but also just sand, and it's all washed into this waterway, and it's just choking some of our waterways. So there are huge impacts that are beyond, like, you know, eucalyptus species recovering. Now it's raining. Oh, but there's a rainbow. Can you see it? Ew. Happy with that. I'm so close to the car. I've got out of that wind tunnel now. Nice and protected in this little valley. Oh man, look at that rainbow. Oh, I swear, like, you know, sometimes things go a bit wrong and you have to make tough decisions, but then, you know, I swear it like always sorts itself out. I get a rainbow, I get a lyrebird feather. I made it back to the car. I got my safety bag, and in it I had a beautiful coconut water. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm so sorry it didn't turn out to be an epic adventure like I was hoping. It was just a overnighter in the end. But yeah, I'd love to hear stories of you guys. Whenever you had to call it quits for safety concerns or something like that. I think some of those stories are the most interesting, and we definitely learn a lot about ourselves. So I know I did in terms of, yeah, having to call it quits. It's quite challenging for me. Anyway, thanks a lot.
Yep.